Hello, welcome to our Wednesday webinar. Today you're going to see how to set up your default cabinet, yeah, and some other settings. So we go steps through step by step through it, and yeah, you will also learn about the setup of the cabinet, yeah, especially for the roof, for beneath cabinet, and some more other details like the row of holes and so on. So, okay, first of all, we are also able to set up our our default room size. Yeah, and therefore you just click here on the dimension of the room, then the window is opening, and here you type in the new dimension of the wall and confirm it with enter. And you can do it's the same for the room height as well as for the length of the room. So, okay, yeah. In this case, we don't want to have like a sloping roof. That's why we keep it uh, the apex like the room height. So, okay. And what's also important, if we click here on a eye on the top left corner, then you see also the graphics. Yeah, you can change the graphics. And usually we want to have this set up. Here you can also have the wireframe, but in general, we use one of the rendered view. Yeah, you see we have here different views, and we just set up the view which we want to work with. And here you see when we click on the gray cube, we can turn off the green arrows, the red smart legs, and here also the smart legs for these areas and the dimension. Yeah, but if we want to plan, we most of the time don't need the arrows, so we can turn them off. But what we need for planning is here the smart legs for the cabinet. Yeah, you see on every edge red smart leg. If you click on here, you can change if the horizontal is passing or the side is passing, or you want to have miter cut. Yeah, you can choose this for every corner. You can also click here on a smart leg for the cabinet, and you go here in a setting, and here you can also set up the construction of all corners together. Yeah, you see number one means side passing, number two means horizontal passing, number three miter for all corners. So yeah, so you are able to do it on any corner or for all together. All right, yeah, that's why we do need to have the smart legs as well as the dimensions for the cabinet. Now you can also click here on the dimensions. The height of the cabinet is opening here, and we type in like 2000, and here's the width of the cabinet as well is 1000. Yeah, so that's the way how define also the dimension of our default cabinet. And we also need to save it as a default, and therefore we click here on the File tab, and here we don't want to load a project, and we don't want to save this project. Neither want to save the single cabinet, we want to save standard. Now if we click here, we click here on yeah, and then it's confirmed. All right. Yeah, that is now our dimension of our default cabinet, and we can go on. Here we are on the cabinet tab, and if we click here on the drop-down menu, we see here's connectors. Yeah, and therefore we can also go to the wireframe, and you see we have here in this case screws and dowels. And if we click on here, you can also choose different connectors. Yeah, if we just want to have dowels, then we get only the dowels. Or if you want to have also the Climax P14, you will get displayed also the Climax P14 here. So you are also able to create your own setup, yeah, and therefore you go here in a setting, and then the window for setting connectors is opening. And here, if we click on connector, you see here all available connectors. Yeah, in your version, it would be also the English names, and you can create your own connectors like the Cabineo. Yeah, I show you on the case of the Cabineo, or let's do the minifix. So the minifix is here, and here we have the reference point. And if we click here on this drilling, we see the drilling pattern of the minifix, and that is here the drilling, the drill direction of the drilling for the site. Yeah, here you see the depth and the diameter. If you click here on minus, it's disappearing. And here you can define also depth and diameter of the drilling. And that is a drilling for the bottom. And here you see the drilling direction is here in plus X. If we click on here, that is minus X, that is plus X. And you can define also the drilling for here. Yeah, just type in your parameters and click on plus, and it's the same here. Yeah, that is has a drilling direction here plus Z. Here you define from the reference points direction dx, dy, and dz is 0 in this case. The depth and diameter you define, and then you click on plus, and that's a way how to create your own connector. Yeah, you see here also for the dowel, we have two drillings, one for the side, one for the bottom. Yeah, bottom or top panel. All right. You can also, if you set it up, yeah, we can here define a new dowel, and we click here on minus, and we say, okay, we have it here on DZ. You can type in millimeter, or if it's here in this case 0.5, then it's always in the middle, and it doesn't matter how the thickness of the material is. And we say here, okay, we want to have a depth of 30. Click on plus, and here you see we have here a depth of 11. We click here on minus and say we want to have a depth of 10. And then we have our dowel, and we call it here also dowel. And then we gonna save the single connector. Yeah, and if you have set up your connectors, we can go to construction. Yeah, I will close it again, and we go here. I show you again. If we click here on this drop-down menu for the cabinet tab, and we go here below connectors to the setting menu, then the window is opening. Yeah, and we want to create now a construction where dowel and Cabineo Clamex P14 is mixed. Yeah, just for the sake of you seeing how to mix different connectors. Yeah, here you have the single connectors available, and here we go on construction, and we call our construction dowel plus Clamex 14. So, and here we type in from how many millimeters on, and here we say 250, and then we click here on new, and we get here, we see here the reference points, and that should be our cabinet from 250 millimeter depth. And then we say here, we choose here our dowel. I saw I made here a mistake. I go back to connector because I was saving it here in the wrong way. So we have a dowel with one L and we save it. And the dowel with the double L, we delete. Yeah, we want to delete it. So here we have the dowel now in a correct way. Okay, now we go to the construction, and here we can now define our construction dowel plus Clamex P14, and we create here a new one, and here we say we want to have Clamex, and here we define the millimeter, and we say from 50 millimeter, and click here on plus. Yeah, you see here we get the drilling which is linked to the macro later on for your CNC, and also in our 3D area it's getting displayed also like Clamex. Yeah, and from the back end we say here minus 50 and click here on plus, and we are saying okay, in the middle we want to have dowel, and we say here okay, we want to have the dowel, and we say here 0.5 is coming in the middle if we click a plus. Yeah, and then we can save it. All right, then we can go a step further. When we say, okay, from 500, we create also a new layout, and here we start with Clamex. Yeah, we say here in the middle we want to have the Clamex, and also on 50 and minus 50. And then we say, okay, we want to have the dowel in 1/3 and 2/3. So we type in here 0.33 and here also 0.67. And then we get here our dowel and we're going to save it. And we close this window. And here we go on the drop-down menu for the cabinet. And here we go also on the drop-down menu below connectors. And here we choose now dowel plus Climax P14. And we see here our setup. Yeah. And if we are below 500, like 350, yeah, then you see we get our other setup. Yeah, also for 450, we get our different setup. Yeah, and that's the way how to create your own construction. Yeah, in our case, we want to have a default depth of the cabinet of 550, and we have it in this way. Okay. Yeah. One more interesting thing to consider is if we click here on the drop-down menu for the cabinet, we have here the checkbox connectors refund back. And when we deactivate it, I just need to check something. Do we have here the groove back? Okay, I just checked it in a German version because if you have activated checkbox, you can define the distance of 50, what we typed in from here, from the back edge or from the back of the cabinet. Yeah, when we go here back to here and we keep the control button pressed and we measuring this point and this we have here dy 50, which is all right. Yeah, because it was activated, but when it's deactivated, it should run 20 below here. I might change it to the German version because it can be like this. Or I am switching back. First of all, I save it as a standard. When I checked it, it was working, but now in a webinar not. But yeah, we need to check it. Therefore, I close TrunCAD and I will open it again. It might work then. So it's just loading on the other screen. After it's loaded, I will drag it and drop it over here. So because on Monday I have made the same webinar in German language and there it was working. So we checking it now. Oh yeah, now it's working. I just loaded it new, and you see here the reference is usually the back edge, and when we have here connectors refer on back, then the reference is not the back edge, it's here the back of the cabinet. Yeah, so you can also set up this, and it will make the entire depth smaller. Yeah, you see it also here on the dowel and minifix, which is the position on the middle or 1/3 and 2/3. It's also getting moved. Yeah. So in this case, in our case, we want to keep it like this, and we can continue now with the setup of the back. Yeah, therefore we change here the view, and you see here when we go on a drop-down menu, you can say no back, yeah, or groove back. You can define here the depth of the group and here the distance of the back. It's the same as for rebate and flat back. And here in our case, we want to have a groove back. You can also set here flush to back and flush to bottom. Yeah, then the top panel and the bottom panel is getting shortened and the back panel is extended. All right. Yeah. So in our case, we don't activate this checkbox and we keep it like this. And we're continuing with beneath cabinet. Yeah, if we click on here, you see my default cabinet, the plinth legs are already activated. Yeah, if you deactivate it, it will disappear. Yeah, and if you activate it and if you have chosen here hardware, then it's appearing. Yeah, and if you click here in the setup for the cabinet for the trim, then the window is here opening, and here you can define the height of the cabinet as well as distances for the panels, and here also the distance for the plinth legs. Yeah, if we say, okay, distance left should be 80, distance right also 80, distance front 60, we keep it. Yeah, and we save this. That is also the way how to set up the position of the plinth legs. Yeah. So if you don't want to have them visible, you can deactivate here the checkbox, but later on, if you need it later, also the position will be saved and you just need to click it on, turn it on or turn it off. And if we want to change here and we want to have the plinth like this or like this, you can choose it. And if we go here again, yeah, you see we can here set up also the distance of the plinth for the front, for the back, and for the left and right side. Here we can also deactivate or activate a plinth panel. Here you see the plinth legs are deactivated. Here that is the position of the plinth legs. And here we have also the maximum distance between the rails underneath. Yeah, we have set it up here 400. When we type in 800, then one is getting off, and we just get one in the middle. Yeah, but when we have a 700 wisp cabinet, it's disappearing. Yeah, only if this distance is going more than 800, it will appear in the middle. All right. Yeah, and that is the way how to set up your lens. You find also um, tutorials. If you click here on help and here on free tutorials, then our online academy is opening. And I just went to the background. If you click here on our tutorials and here on software tab and here on the cabinet tab, yeah, you see here also how to set up corner connectors. Yeah, also how to set up the trims. We will go to this in the next step. Also plinth leg setting, lens setting, back panel setting. Yeah, you find also the important tutorials here in our tutorials in the software tab, later on division tab, interior tab, so on. Yeah, so I will minimize it and we can continue here on our cabinet tab and we can set up now the trims. Yeah, if we click here, they are usually deactivated. If we click here and activate here plinth, then you see in my default it's activated like this, and here like this. So if we want to change here the height to 50, it's going up. And if you don't want to have it flush to front, we can deactivate here the smart click, and you see we get here an offset, and you define the offset in here. Yeah, here you see also you can set up an overlap or keep it to 0. Yeah, then it's here on 0, and here on the right side also on 0. So, and if you want to have an overlap of the top plinth, then you can here also say overlap at top, at right, and at left 50. Then you can define it also this way. Yeah. So you see here, if we click on here and you go here on a setting for the plinth, the window is opening. Here you can also define the height, the distance left, right. You can also set to 0. Distance front and back, you can keep it like this or set it to 0. Here you can also say the left part yes or no. 0 is no. Here I already deactivated everything except the front. And here you can also say, do you want a connection panel? 1 means yes, no means no. If you want to have one, you can define here the width and here also the connector. Yeah, you can also choose our connector. So if you don't want to have it, we say here 0, and if we save it, you will see this is going to disappear. So, and now we can also save it. But if you want to keep the setup, but you don't want to have the trim activated, we can also deactivate it again. And we can say now this is our default, and we say here save standard. Click on yeah. Yeah. The same also with the cover panel. You can set it up here also with the overlap, also for a visible side. Yeah, it's coming on top. That is also set it up. Yeah, you can, if you see here a black triangle with a minus, you can reduce it. With a positive value, you can extend it. All right, now we want to have no trim for the default, but the setup is now saved, and we will also save it as a standard. All right, now we can go to the division. Yeah, and here we can set up the verticals and horizontals. Yeah, here we can also choose our connector. We choose here dowel and climax. And if we use here a vertical, you can also set the default, should it pass through top and bottom or not. Do you want to have a single or double? You can choose it. Yeah, and just keep your default and save it as a default. Yeah, for the horizontal, we also change here our connectors, dowel and climax. And yeah, for a step in between, we can go back to the File tab and save it as a standard. And we click here on Yeah. And we go now to the Interior tab. And here on the drop-down menu for the adjustable shelves, we can set up our row of folds. And therefore, I delete the middle side, and I will, to explain you something, I will add here a horizontal, because here you see on this view, the row of fold is not passing through the whole area. It's only passing through the single area here. And we have a top and a bottom area. And when we are here on the interior tab on the adjustable shelves, we see here this row of folds is activated. When we say, okay, row of folds is passing, then it's passing through the whole side. Yeah, you can also choose group of holes. Then we only get holes only if we use here adjustable shelves. Yeah, and here you can define the number of holes, like you see. So, okay, I will delete this here in the top part, and here the row of folds is passing, and here we have it in every area. And we want to choose also the row of folds passing, and we will delete this. And to go in a setup, we go here in a setting, and here's a window for the row of folds setting is opening. Here you can choose the distance to bottom, distance to top, distance to front and back. Here it's the depth of the holes, and here the diameter. And here you see an additional row from, in this case, 700 millimeters. And here the position will be in the center, yeah, 0.5. Here you see the distance of the holes. It's 32. And here that is also important thing, distance to side, and this is mean if you have here adjustable shelves, you have 0.5 millimeters to each side. So the adjustable shelves will be 1 millimeter shorter than vertical. Yeah, because here we have a bit more tolerance. And if you type in here 1 millimeter, then it will be 2 millimeter shorter than horizontal. Okay, yeah. Here you can define same distance at top and bottom. Here we can check. Yeah, usually it starts here with from the bottom that we have exactly 45, but it depends on the height of the cabinet. Yeah, here it can be more than 54. Yeah, we can, let's measure it. Yeah, I will abort it and we're going here to the wireframe, because the wireframe, it's good also to measure here the distance. Yeah, when we go here in the center, keep the control button pressed. We see here the red flag is activated and we click on it, it's turning to green. And when we go to this point, you see DZ is 68. Yeah, and now we are zooming in here and we are also measure, keep the control button pressed, click here the center of the hole, and here we have exactly 54. So when we click on here in the setting and we say same distance to top and bottom, and we type in number 1 and say save, then you see it went up, that we have here the same distance. Yeah, we click here again. This point is 61, and on the top we had before 68, and it should be 61 as well because it went up. Yeah, we see DZ is 61. Here you see the coordinate system. Now we have changed that is the same distance to top and bottom. All right, yeah, we wanna save this as standard. That's why we click here on File and say Save Standard, and click here on Yeah. And we check now the interior drawers. Yeah, here it's good to define a height and a distance. If not, you need to remember before you use your hardware. We can also choose here our default hardware, so Movento in this case, interior. Then you don't need to make the clicks later on because it's already defined. The same as for the close rails. Yeah, we have here also a default distance to top of 100 millimeter, and that is all right. So then we going to the front tab, and here we click on the drop-down menu for the door. Here you can also choose your default drawers. The drawers, they are coming later, the hinges. And in our case, we use the Bloom clip top inserter 120 degree. And that is it. Yeah, we can drag and drop one into it because then we do have also the smart clicks here for the front. And when we click on one smart click, we can go here in a setting, and here we can also change the setup for the fronts. Yeah, here you see also when there's a minus -1, it will get the setup of the global setup for the handles. We come later onto it. Yeah, we keep it like this. Here you see the distance of the lowest hinge, and here's distance of the uh, top hinge. It's in this case 80 millimeter. Here you can also define the maximum distance between the hinges, and also when you want to have additional hinge when the door is wider than, in this case, 700. That is also the default, which you can set up, and which is also important is here the space to bottom, top, left, and right. Yeah, you can here define the gap from the edges to the front. Yeah, in this case, it's 3 millimeter. You can also make it bigger or smaller, or you keep it like this. And here you can also define if you want to use a frame. Yeah, you can define here the width of the frame, the type of the frame. For example, if you want to have a shaker door, you type in number 7, then you will get a shaker door if you save it. Yeah, but therefore we need to activate here in the checkbox the frame, and then you get here automatically shaker door. And here in this case, it does make sense to change it to a vertical handle. Then you have it like this. Yeah. And in our default, we don't want to have a door in it. Yeah, that's why before we save it as a default, we remember to delete the door. And after this, we can save our default. Yeah. All right. Now I also saved that we usually use a frame. So in this specific case, also the frame for shaker doors. So yeah, we also get this if we use here drawers. Yeah, therefore we use here also 6 drawers. When we drag and drop in it, then you see also for the drawers we get here the shaker style. So if you also want to have a different material for the fronts, you can also click here on material. In my case, I don't have a 18 millimeter material set in here. That's why I choose a 19 one, and I drag it and drop it over here. And that is now my default material for the fronts, for the drawers. And you can also change the distance or the type of the handle. Therefore, we go back to the front tab and we go here on the drop-down menu. Now we use here horizontals, and here you can also define, do you want to set up the drillings or not, as well as the dampers. If you want to have them, you can also define the depth and diameter and the distances. And here for the distance, you can also define the distance of the handles. So you can change the width. Yeah, or here you can also choose a knob, horizontal, or also pocket. Yeah, in this case, we want to have here a horizontal. And yeah, in our case, we also want to keep the shakeout doors as a default, and we click on here and delete it because we don't want to have 6 drawers in our default cabinet. But later on, when we're using them, then we get the setup for it. All right. Then one more important point. If you click here on uh, help, ah, and here on TrunCAD, if it's not translated in English, usually the browser, the Google Chrome browser is automatically change the language. Yeah, here you see the resources of the computer, but when we go here on truncad.com, you see here also the computer requirements. Yeah, here um, you see the uh, computer requirements. Yeah, you see at least 8 GB RAM. Yeah, it's better to have a bit more, like 16. Um, yeah, when TrunCAD isn't running so fluent, you have here the button. I will go back to the view. Yeah, because here's all the drilling patterns. They are always for every movement. They are getting calculated new. When you click here on off, yeah, you can turn it off and on. Yeah, and when they are turned off, your computer need not so much resources and you can work a bit faster. Okay, so yeah, that is it so far. I just check my checklist if I have everything important say to you. And yeah, now you know how to set up your default. Yeah, there are even more details which you can uh, change. Yeah, like I just show you an example. For example, some of you want to have nailer. Yeah, then you see here, you can also, here you see attach nailer behind back panel. Yeah, when you look here in our helping center for this, yeah, it's your support.truncad.de. Here you see our help center. You can choose here English. I go back. That is the link, support.truncad.de/portal/de/kb. Here you can choose English. And here you can also choose for tutorials, yeah, like for the nailer. And here you see also how to set up a nailer. And if you want to work with them as a default, then you see here in the tutorial, which is less than 3 minutes, you see how to set up a nailer. And if it's set up, you can also define it as your default. Yeah. So, and one more thing, if you click here on data export, you see um, your default layout is already appearing, and here you can choose your layout. Yeah, let's say the cutting list. We choose here the cutting list, and if you click here on the three dot button, then you see also the windows opening for the cutting list, and you can design your own cutting list. For example, if you don't want to have the pathways for CNC, you can throw them out. And example, if you want to have the information of the front edge, right edge, back edge, and left edge, and here you can also change the position of it, and you can save your own layout like cutting list, and you click here on save and close it. And now you can choose your cutting list in here, and if you keep this, yeah, you can also click here on file and save it as a standard. Yeah. If you click here on help and free tutorial, then you get to our online academy. And if you click here on start our webinars, you will see uploaded the webinars in here. Here you see also how to create your material sets. And want to show you also the webinar how to set up your cutting list. It's here webinar setting up the cutting list. Yeah, it's a bit more detailed, and there you can watch it and set up your own cutting list. You find this also on YouTube. And yeah, now we are pretty much done, and I thank you for your attention. And if we click here on the green webinar button, the web page is opening, and here you see our next webinars. You see in the next weeks we will design in TrunCAD a modern U-shaped kitchen with an island. Um, there will be more than one part like you see because it's a bit more complex, and I'm looking forward to next Wednesday, and have a good time to then, and take care. Bye bye.